This one is for you. To the ones caught in the gap of this American system, here's the truth about your inheritance and birthright in this country. The one who colonized our ancestors and are still in power today are hidden. And for those of us who know. But for the ones who don't, here is what they don't want us to know, to have the awareness of. More hidden truths revealed. And I'm Ava, and welcome to my channel. Thanks for watching Voice of Sankofa, where all is revealed in this new age of spiritual evolution. The Muskogee languages are a family of languages belonging to the southeastern United States. Muskogee, also known as Creek, are a nation of tribes that include Chickasaw, Choctaw, Alabama, Coasati, Appalachee, Hitchiti, Miccosukee, Seminole, and Muskogee itself. These are the melanin American Indians erased from our history books. Now, this slide and others following it will explain why that is. So this group is responsible for the rendition of the Hebrew Bible that is in circulation today. Now you can see that they are the authors of this Bible. The spreading of the Christian faith was a church mission, a mission intended to colonize lands that were not their own. But on the flip side of that, we were still able to survive and build stable families and productive communities until interference from the government. The Muskogee Confederation of Tribes, the Creek Nation, are the Greeks, and this explains why history has been changed. Here's an unknown fact. The name McIntosh is a Muscogean last name. The long-lost 10 tribes of Israel are definitely not lost at all. They are spread throughout America, Africa, Asia, and in other land masses, and many, if not most, know their identity. This slide shows that they have the history of the races of mankind, and you can also see where it says that the American language is chiefly treated as the Choctaw language. Here's more hidden history many aren't aware of. Now, when the history books say that man migrated out of Africa, they meant over here in this land, America. America is the true Africa. Now, Africa derives from a Semitic term in connection with Asiatic Phoenicia, or the Phoenicians. There is a theory that the Phoenicians, quote unquote, discovered the Americas, not Christopher Columbus. That narrative was intentionally made up to hide the truth of who the real colonizers were and are. The name Africa roots are in the name of a Berber tribe, which means that the Berbers colonized the Americas and the now landmass called Africa today. Here are the original Asians, not the ones that are seen today. The Asiatics are not only the American Indians, but they are the Phoenicians and the Berbers as well. Now, see, the thing is, this nation has many labels for themselves and go by many different names in the textbooks. Too many to name, but do reference the same or similar groups of people. Now, the ancient Near Eastern peoples of Western Asia are the various groups mentioned in the Bible: Canaanites, Hittites, Assyrians, Babylonians, Persians, Medes, Arameans, Phoenicians, Elamites, Phutites, Cushites, Egyptians. The land of America is the ancient Near East, and here are her colonizers. See, the Bible is their story, not everyone's story. And in an earlier video, I mentioned this. If I'm not Afro-Asiatic, then why am I reading a Bible about them and their religion? It absolutely made no sense to me. The group that were the vagrants who seized the land and resources of many of our ancestors. The melanin people who have been denying us the foundational Black person of America who doesn't know their family history because they have withheld the knowledge of our ancestry. We've been brainwashed to believe all black people are the same or with similar backgrounds with similar stories. And by the way, this group calls themselves white. They know their history while we were made to forget ours. Their Vatican stole our books, many locked away, and they burned our libraries so that our identity is sealed and they can be in control. Pretending to be us, claiming our story as their own, staging the phony de facto government in their position as the face of American politics today. Here are more tribal names of these American Indians. Now, how can you know who has been against you if they look like, sound like, and act like you and live within the community? So the psyops is to have us think it's a complexion or melanin versus non-melanin battle, and it isn't. It is and has always been a battle of consciousness, lower awareness versus higher awareness of divine connection. Many of our ancestors were deceived and taken advantage of because of this. So this is the time to do the shadow work to release and let go and heal, as well as restore and balance. Because we are in the age where keen discernment is necessary, and this goes for the discernment of all, not just some. Lines are being drawn in the sand today, and the sides of light versus dark, higher consciousness versus lower consciousness has come into balance the scales for divine justice. Discernment is using your intuition to determine who is for you and who is not, because many today are being taken advantage of the ones who have the good intentions. Best thing to do is look for the signs of narcissist characteristics and proceed cautiously. And I'm talking about peers, family, and friends. Barbary coastal towns and cities were located throughout the world, even including San Francisco. Now, the Barbary coast of North Africa, the Barbary corsairs raided ships traveling through the Mediterranean and along the northern and western coasts of Africa, plundering their cargo and enslaving the people they captured. Barbary pirates were mainly Muslims operating as pirates from North Africa, referenced as the Berbers. They seized merchant ships, engaged in surprise attacks, raided European coastal towns and villages. Now be mindful that our world maps and names of countries and locations have been changed. Now, when you read this, you know who has really been in charge this entire time. And this is to my foundational melanin person, again, who has been lied to about their history. Slavery was used as a means to not only take our ancestral land, but more importantly, the narrative has shaped our belief system that our ancestors came from another land, from the land we know today as Africa. Africa is the colonist's namesake to Africa over here and over there. And I definitely know that not all of anyone, like all Africans, are to be held liable for the colonization of our ancestors. Because what many of our people, what happened to them, they were kidnapped and trafficked to foreign lands to never know who they are and to be removed from their families. This group is also responsible for the laws of Jim Crow and racial propaganda. The American law system developed by them, so they fly under the radar and just pretend to share our story, or they can offer a Moorish badge and that's that. The story goes so much more deeper than I can cover in this quick presentation, but I have a lot more information to provide at another time that goes deeper. Skin tone connection is contracted deception. The battle has always been about spiritual and has been happening for many, many generations. Nothing is as it seems because this matrix is built on deceit and acting. We are in a paradigm shift where the end of one age has now turned into the beginning of another age, where divine justice is here to balance the scales of negativity that has been occurring on this realm for a very long time. And the restoration of peace and harmony are to come into fruition. However, first, it's going to take work for those who are willing to work towards that shift. The Christian narrative about a Savior coming to course correct this wicked system to its followers was a part of the deception by the God of the Bible. Revelation 12:9. And the great dragon was cast out, the serpent of old, who was called the devil and Satan, who deceives the world. We are the ones who are the saviors of this earth, and again must do what is needed to usher in the new world again. No one is coming to save us. That narrative was intended to have people wait and not prepare for what's going to happen. We need all hands on deck, and the time is now. Now, many of us from different backgrounds and many shades have a divine mission on earth, incarnated here through our mother's womb to awaken to this realization. Here and now, I'm doing my part of that work. Now is the time. Housing projects and surrounding poverty-stricken Black communities is the neo-slavery of this time. And too much time has been given to the system of oppression by the fake and real government lurking in the shadows as the Black nobility. Have you ever wondered why the histories of the Black diaspora of Africa and the Caribbean are well discussed and well known? However, no one ever discusses the Black American narrative in depth that has occurred within the last 100 years. Only thing we hear is the transatlantic slavery narrative, which perhaps never truly happened the way it did, which was the intent to not only keep the Black American stuck in their past, but also the erasing the history of our ancestry, which was the bigger intention at hand. Who talks about the drug epidemic of the last 30 to 40 years in many Black communities? Or the sterilization of Black women's womb without their awareness or consent, known as eugenics? The Tuskegee experiment of Black men and their families, and also the destruction of Black towns in the early 20th century. Who's assisting the often forgotten melanin communities caught in the gap of this Americanized system? The economic development of these communities by means of real support, not gentrification. Also addressing the emotional and psychological support for these communities, given that they have limited resources for opportunities of growth. Mental health is very important because one's physical reality is shaped by one's internal belief system. Spiritual forces are at play in this universe, which directs the path of life. And for most of us, we were denied the knowledge of the universal principle that everything in our physical world takes shape in the mind first, and that one has to be balanced, mind, body, and spirit, in order to manifest a peaceful, loving, and prosperous life on earth. Now, many seek refuge from this political matrix that governs their life day to day, with nowhere to turn, given minimal opportunities of advancement. The American system intentionally withholds knowledge and practices from certain populations that's needed to attain higher self-awareness and universal principles in order to have a sovereignty in life. So then the question rises, what's presently being done for our people now? Excuse me when I say this, but civil rights movement was a sham because it was and still is an institutional operations. Rights granted to people by the very controlling elites. People have the authority to live in their divine right, and that starts with healing trauma bonds and creating harmony within that manifests into the outside reality. For instance, it can start with going in nature or outdoors to take a walk. Gain a higher awareness of life through studying new materials, moving the body, deep breathing exercises, eating healthier, and more. And all of this can be done to elevate awareness, and also making sure to eliminate toxic habits, persons, place, or things. Doing things like this one can develop a new perspective on life with no more trauma bonding and lean into self love and harmony, getting out of this upside down reality. I'll soon host a platform where I'll reveal more truths to free hearts and empower thoughts, because censorship of the truth has been a problem. Stay tuned for what is in the works. I have vital information for our evolution in this transmission that I'm willing to share. Again, this is Ava, over and out. Peace.